What's up, everybody? It's your boy AT2. Why is it like this? Hold on. I never really used the term new media, but I guess I'm considered new media. So I'm gonna give you my thoughts on that, as well as Armon being doused with baby oil. I kind of touched on it yesterday, but I didn't realize that he was getting backlash, and it's not just from the black people because he was featured on Nancy Grace, and Nancy Grace, she was all like, that boy being doused with baby oil, that's Armon Wiggins, So the white people talking about it too. So let's get into it, y'all. What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Talk the Real Deal with AT2. And yes, I'm your boy AT2. How everybody doing? How everybody living? How everybody feeling? I don't like I think it's because it's the daytime. That's why the lighting is off right now. Hold on, let me try to fix that. Hold on, let me see. Then I don't like that one. Okay, hold on. Then I look ashy. Hold on. Okay, we just gonna leave it on that. Yeah, we'll just leave it on that for a minute. But what's up, everybody? Let me say what's up to the people before we get into it. What's up, Southern Belle? What's up, Sleepless in NYC? What's up, Callie? What's up, Gina? What's up, Cherise? What's up, Bama Girl? Nice to see my members, by the way. What's up, Beauty for Ashes? What up, Claudette? Lady Spice, Adrian, Starnique. Who else we got here? Poetic Poem, Sephora, Tina Marie, Purely Plush. Who else? Denitria, what's up, Denitria? Hello, everybody. Come in the room, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Virgo Child, Ronnie, what's up? M King. All right. So enough of the pleasantries. So let's get right on into it. So as you guys may or may not know, Armon was out there being doused with baby oil, and he said that it was more in like celebration that the case was over with. He wasn't pro Diddy as it seemed like, but I think the message got confusing because there was a lot of people there who was pro Diddy, cheering that Diddy was acquitted of three of the five charges. So yeah, that does get a little confusing that you were amongst the people, where compared to Tisa Tells, and I hate to do the comparison, but we got to do it, Cammy. We got to do the comparison, Winnie. When it comes to like Tisa was off on her own and did her own thing, and where Armon, he was among the people. But the thing is that some of you guys are going to question, like, okay, so he can't be among the people and be a real down to earth. Not when you're on TV and you're doing big things. You're doing big things. Because let's not forget, Armon was the first one to really do the TV stuff. He was the first one. Then Tisa got invited to do TV. Armon has kind of been everywhere. News Nation, Nancy Grace, TMZ, Wake Up with Angela Yee, he has done a lot, Kay. He has been everywhere. If I was to say who was the biggest, I know we kind of say Tisa Tells and Armon, but who was the biggest? It was definitely Armon. If you had to choose, who do you think was the bigger star from this Diddy trial besides Diddy himself? Armon or Tisa Tells? Everybody more than likely would say Armon. And that's not to discredit Tisa, but Armon was the one who had the attention, had the clout. The celebrities were shouting him out and everything, Armon is being quoted. Okay. Oh, it's a little mixed. Okay. We got two Tisas, Armon, Roman, but I think you meant Armon, April. Okay, Mims. Okay. Armon was the best. Yeah. He was the face of the new media. Yeah. That's the thing. He was the face of the new media. I would definitely say that. As well as other people were, but he was the one going viral on the TikTok. Because we kind of just look at YouTube and say, like, oh, YouTube is the end all be all, but you got to think about Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Like, even I seen him trending on the thing on Twitter. He was trending after the baby oil stuff, but he had trend beforehand, right? So when you see all that stuff, what's up, OG Patrice? When you see all that stuff, you're kind of like, damn, like, why'd you have to go and just, I said a lot about the courthouse people, and I just felt like people was acting very niggerish. And yes, I did say niggerish. Yes, I did say that. And it's all like, y'all, like, and I hate to say, unfortunately, we're in this period in our lives where if a black person does something, it represents everyone. I hate that because with white people, they can act a fool and it's not a representation of all white people. But unfortunately, when a black person does something, it represents us all. Anybody disagree with that? I don't think nobody disagree with that. But that's how it is, unfortunately. If one of us do something bad, it represents us all and not just, oh, it's just that one bad apple or that one person. And I'm not saying that he's a bad apple, right? I'm not saying that. I really feel like it was a lapse of judgment, but because of the level that he is, he can't mess up. Now on his show, he tried to spin it like, oh, this is why I'm on my own. I don't really care, but you do care. What's up, son? You do care. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't have went on those TV shows and stuff like that if you really didn't care. You were featured on Angela Yee a few times. You co-hosted because you do care. I'm not just going to let him get away with the, oh, I don't care about, no, you do care. And that's okay. It's all right. It's okay to say, like, you know what? I do care about what people say about me. I do care about how I'm looked at in the eyes of the media. There is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. And you should have those moments. Now, Adrian, I'm about to block you because why the hell would you ever put that in my goddamn? Purely Plush said he was also trending after that lady was harassing him and he decided to check her on his live. Yes. Yeah, that's true too as well. And it was just kind of like, it kind of shows you like the way you should carry yourself. Like and I'm pretty sure there'll be other trials, right? But if there ever is another trial, how to carry yourself, how to act, and how to move about in the space. Because again, I don't want to say there's a perfect way that somebody else did something, but when you look at the situation of Tisa played the long game. Tisa played the long game. Y'all can say Tisa is a liar. She do this, she do that. You can say whatever you want about Tisa, but I guarantee you, Tisa is going to have some kind of TV deal where she's featured as some kind of investigative specialist. Because I was watching I did watch the Nancy Grace thing, and they had her as like a special investigator or something like that. And I'm all like, investigator? What the hell is she investigating? Because nigga, if she an investigator, I'm an investigator too. Like, I research on the internet too as well, So she definitely gonna have like some kind of TV deal or something like that, some kind of backing or support. Like, I don't think this is the end for her just because Diddy got the the guilty, I mean the acquitted on the most serious charges, like they like her. You can tell they like her. She definitely gonna have some kind of job, some kind of position. With Armon, it's kind of like, I don't know. And it is embarrassing because at the end of the day, I know he'll probably just never mind it, like, oh, I don't care. I did this because his explanation was that, when is the next time everybody's going to be around? He was like, the people wanted to be around me. They wanted to touch me. They wanted to be in my presence. And so, I wanted to entertain and put on a show for the people. And it's kind of like, dog, come on now. They was actually there for the Diddy trial, but if you want to say they was there for you, and I'm not gonna play his video because I guarantee if he sees this, he's gonna strike me. So I'm not gonna play his video. But he did say he did that for his fans and he did that for the people. That's why he got doused with baby oil. Yo, do I ever be sounding cocky and shit like that when I be talking to y'all? Yeah, please bring me down to earth if I ever be talking like, oh yeah, the people wanted to see me, they wanted to touch me, they wanted it, and I was like literally watching like, oh wow, he really did say. I'm not lying, y'all. I'm not lying. He really did say this. Did anybody watch it, y'all? I know I ain't lying. Oh yeah, shout out to Nick at Night. She was on CNN, and you know what the crazy part is? Nick at Night was among the people, right? But Nick at Night was more like kind of incognito where you didn't see her like really in the mess and stuff like that. She was like more like an outsider, you know, and she was on CNN. Look at that. Yes, y'all all are cocky. Dang, we are. Yeah, you probably ain't lying. Yeah, you ain't lying about that. Yes, and he did. That's how I feel. I feel like he brought a lot of humor in the way that he delivered things, and he did explain like the reason why he did did the whole oil thing is because that was his thing, more oil, and he even had baby oil and stuff like that when he was doing his show. So I got what his reasoning for doing it was. It still doesn't excuse like it was a good look. It still doesn't excuse it. Because, like I said, now that you got the white people looking at it and they're all like, oh, this is the face of new media. And it's like, no, no, not everybody was out there. Doubt. And I think also, too, for some people, whether you believe, um, update your title. Oh, because, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think somebody else said too, like I misspelled some, but y'all understood what the hell I said. Anyway, I think also too with the whole new media conversation, I don't feel like YouTube is new media. I just feel like now people are respecting it and noticing like, yo, we can break stories, we can tell stories, we can interview people, we can do everything that the big dogs do. We might not have the same backing or production, but we can do the same shit that y'all do. And now it's nothing. Now they have to respect us when it comes to the whole new media, right? But I don't feel new media is actually new. Grammar. Y'all gonna stop eating me up for my titles, damn it. Don't worry, I'll go back and correct it after the show. Is he low key self sabotaging? It's like every time something is going right for him. Yeah. And there's this clip that when Funky Dineva interviewed with Carlos King and he said Armon needs to grow up, people are reposting that clip and then, montaging it with the whole baby oil thing. It does seem kind of like a TGIF moment again. And now I want to say this too. I'm not saying that, oh, his career is over. He's not going to be able to recover from this. No, no, no. I'm not saying that at all. If anything, I'm just saying move more smart, move smarter. We could still jinx it. Yo, that was epic. That was epic. You can't lie about that. That was epic right there. And and I think also too, and thank you, Idella, for your comment. I think what also disappointed people was like it seemed that after Diddy was acquitted of most of his charges, everybody became a Diddy fan. Like I didn't realize how many people supported Diddy. Like, and I don't know if it was support or it was more like a aha got you moment. Like, was it more like people are like F the feds and we don't like the Fed, the federales, we don't like the feds? Or was it no, we think Diddy was innocent? Like, I'm trying to get where people are coming from with this. Personally, for me, no, I didn't think Rico was the strongest case that they had. But as far as everything else, like, yeah, he wasn't a good guy, but Rico, I would say no, but everything else I could definitely see. But it was very weird. Let me ask y'all, so when they drag me and shit in videos, y'all get dragged with me. Do you feel that the energy after Diddy's acquittal was weird? Yes or no? Yeah, I just felt it was very weird. I was all like, maybe I wasn't paying attention that much, but I figure for the most, like, I'll say this. With Tisa, you knew where Tisa stood. But now, kind of going back, I think more or less people try to stay on a certain line of like, oh, it could go this way, it could go that way. What's up, Ariel? It could go this way, it can go that way. But Tisa, I would say, was the only one that was all like, no, we need justice for the victims. Da, 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 da. And I think that's also why Tisa got so much backlash, because she was more on the side of like, we need to get justice. Diddy's going down, blah, blah, blah. Where everybody else kind of wavered on that line. Now that I'm kind of just going back, kind of thinking about the people that I watched, not that one fool. Now, I think if Tisa got harassed, they should have harassed the Murad, the Murad Morali guy, the one that's into his own freaky shit, Murad Morali, the guy from London. Yeah, now he definitely, if you're gonna say Tisa is a fan, they should have said that he was a fan too. If you're gonna really play it like that and really do it like that, just don't attack the black people, attack everybody. I'm fair when it comes to that. Yes, Mims was definitely the most unbiased when it came to it. Yeah. And again, Mims, he was missing from the whole baby oil. I didn't see him out there with the whole baby oil thing. He was all like, let me get the fuck up. He said, let me get the fuck up out of here, Agreed, Tisa was an easier target. Yeah. Because I feel like if we're gonna go after everybody, right? Because at the end of the day, we're YouTubers. Everybody's fair game. I don't believe that, oh, you shouldn't have an opinion. No, you shouldn't harass somebody, but you're allowed to have an opinion about people, right? I'm going to just put it like that, right? But I find it funny that Murad Morali, somebody from the UK, flew over here and he was one of those biggest, like, oh, Diddy's going down in this. And he was pushing that misinformation with Jay-Z and all that. Like, he should have got, yeah, I feel like he should have got some backlash. Why they only did the black woman, but they didn't do the brown guy? We got to be fair across the board. Everybody should be harassed. Even me. I should shit. Trust me, I do get harassed. Everybody should be harassed. In all fairness. Now, hold on, let me because now I know people are gonna try to strike my video and shit like that and try to get me taken down. That's not what I mean. That people should be harassed, because don't be trying to flag me for bullying. But everybody should be able to receive feedback. See how I work that? Everybody should be able to receive feedback. Oh, thank you, Rev. I appreciate that. But yeah, I feel like everybody should be fair game, because it's all like, why didn't they get him? And I do feel like, mm, I do feel that there was a little hateration going on, definitely some jealousy. I feel that, when I had talked about Dennis Byron saying that Tisa received special privileges, I didn't realize Dennis Byron wasn't the only person saying that. There was a lot of people saying that she got special privileges as well too. So I think, hey, she was able to get inside the courtroom. It seemed like her placement was, here and not with everybody else or the other YouTubers. It seemed that, she had security. Now, she said she paid, well, her boyfriend paid for the security. So that was on her. But coming from an outside standpoint, if I was there and I seen somebody, what's up, Anita? Excuse me, I seen somebody kind of like, well, why are they always, getting this or getting that? And unfortunately, people don't see it like, oh, this inspires me to be better. This inspired me to be great. Not everybody sees it like that. Some people see it like, oh no, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve to be in the place that you are. Like, there's a YouTuber, and I realized this, and I was just thinking about this the other day. Now, I don't think about this person just randomly. Let's be clear. But he specifically says things. What's up, Nene? What's up, Sugar Walls? He specifically says things like, and you bought your subscribers, you bought your views, you bought this, you bought that. Nobody likes you. And like, this person is always trying to cut me down. And I never really realized why, but now I do. They think like somebody like me doesn't deserve the place where I am. Like, they don't think like I deserve to have subscribers or people that follow me. They don't think that I deserve what I got. And some people feel like that about other YouTubers or other people. They don't feel like you deserve where you got. They think that you cheated, or not that they think that you cheated. They have to tell themselves that you cheated, or you didn't earn it, or you didn't, like, how could you get it over me? Why isn't it me? It should be me. But the thing is, like I always say, what's meant for me is meant for me. What's meant for you is meant for you. You're never going to be able to get what I have. And I'm probably not going to be able to get what you have, right? But all the comparison and trying to make yourself like someone, like, because I read y'all shady comments and stuff like that when y'all say, oh, AT2, you should be bigger, not as body. I'm already fat. I am bigger, right? But but like, as far as like subscriber count, like, oh, you should already be at 100,000. Why aren't you like this person? This person is so much better than you, and they like, I see all that shit that y'all say, and I heart and I like it. But at the end of the day, again, it doesn't mean that I won't get there. Maybe it's taking me a little bit longer, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to get there or I'm not going to be successful. Like, damn, just give me a minute. I've never been one of those people just to skyrocket, up to the top within 5 months. That's not me. I prefer to work at it. I prefer the grind. Trust me. And when I get there, it will be sweet and it will be on my terms. What's up, Celebrity Scandalous? Because you were there too. Are you still there? Hold on. I'm gonna drop the link for Celebrity Scandalous. because she a part of new media. She was acting a goddamn fool out there too. I was there, but I wasn't jumping all over. Okay. Sugar Walls say, if you think you should be harassed, look at Rochelle Smith's comment. Oh, here she go. What's up, Celebrity Scandalous? How you doing?
Wait, hold on. Let me put you. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, so you said like everything was like impromptu with the whole oil thing, right? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay,
No, so
I was asking about the whole baby oil. You said it was impromptu, right?
yeah, because so Uda on Go, he does that. That's his little shtick, right? He was playing
Mm-hmm.
around with the baby oil and the what is it, slip and glide or whatever that stuff is. I don't use it, so I don't know.
Astroglide.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
astral
actually have. You know, I didn't realize I actually have Astroglide.
I don't have that,
now,
so I didn't know. And
now
so
don't be worried about why I got some Astroglide. Shut your damn mouth, y'all. I'm talking to the people,
so
not you, celebrity
yeah,
scandalous. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I know. And AT2, I'm in my daughter's bathroom hiding because she's in a meeting at work. So, I got to shut the fuck up. Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, yeah, it was just we were all like that's kind of like the place that we, because they kind pretty much kick you out. It was so hot and they don't want you kind of loitering inside. So there's limited places they tell us we could go. So we all kind of hang out in the courtyard. And so Armand, if you've been watching his recaps every day, he does the baby oil. He always like kind of reenacts particular scenes. And so Uda
Mm-hmm.
just be out there with the baby oil and the Astroglider, and it was just like a joke. And so Armand, everybody knows him for that. So he was kind of
Right.
standing out there just having a good time. And then they just started saying, hey, do the Astroglider. I even got a dab of baby oil from Uda to go. Okay. It's just, we were just having a good time. It wasn't anything about the Diddy because at that point, they didn't even know about the bill. There was no
Mm-hmm.
word. I think a lot of people were happy that he didn't get the RICO charges, but it wasn't more than anything more than that.
Yeah, because the way that the media has framed it is that the Diddy supporters celebrating with baby oil.
No, I think that's a mischaracterization because Armand does that. That's his little shtick. And Uda kind of talks about it. He just, talks about not a Frico is not a Rico. It's just like little things they do. And it just so happened that a lot of the people that were standing out there, Armand does the baby oil. He just puts it on during his show, talk about you got to be oiled up. And that's all it was. It wasn't, and for this is my first time covering a case like this. And what I have learned is a lot of things that you see in the media, even myself included, 70% of it is probably BS and it's a narrative and it's not fact based. And a lot of the people who are reporting particular things, they weren't necessarily there. It wasn't, I
Mm.
won't even say it was Diddy supporters because who determines that? Armand has been pretty objective, trying to give both sides. Uda may be kind of more of a Diddy supporter, but it wasn't. It was just everybody hanging out in the heat and just kind of came together and just started having a bit of a party. That's all.
Yeah, it was kind of like the end of the trial, so it was kind of like that last final. It's like the last day of high school. That's the way I can
Yeah.
describe it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. And again, remember, he didn't get the RICO charges. A lot of people thought that was overreaching, number one. So the fact that, that was off the table. And then the trafficking, because a lot of people don't even didn't believe it was trafficking either. And so when he got some time, y'all. So the people who were pissed, he still did get time. It was a lot of drama, AD2. I'm gonna go talk about it because there's some stuff with Tisa and then the surprise witness.
Mm.
I met Mariah Morale. I mean, Nick at Night got pictures with her. It was, I'm telling you, it was like a Super Bowl of the YouTubers. And I'm gonna tell you, ASS, the next time, yeah, you need to be there. Period.
I
It
need
was
to be there
crazy.
next time.
You
Okay.
gotta be there. You gotta be. No, listen. As old as I am, I got my rusty ass out there. You need to be there. It because listen, I got a contact from TMZ. Nick at Night was on CNN. You saw Tisa was on ABC. It's if you're trying to up your game, there are just certain things you should just put yourself, and I'm saying this in a positive way, not condemning, because I just caught you saying people are talking about, well, so and so did this and their channel is growing like that. It doesn't matter. People blow up overnight. He's only 2 years in the game and blew up over all y'all MFs. So don't talk about
Mm.
AT2 where he is or isn't, because it's just the luck of the draw. That's what it is. You know, I've been doing this for some years, but I'm trying to finally go full time. You can't call it. There's some people, listen, it's some people that was out. Uda on the go is one. When I got there, his channel the first week, he had what, 1,000, 2,000 people. He already up to 20, almost 20,000 followers. So don't judge one person's next to the other. It has to do with your content, how you present it. It's just a lot of factors. And when it's your time to shine, it's just your time. So
Right, right.
that's it.
Sugar Walls, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Sugar Walls said 11:42 a.m. Oh, I forgot it tells the time. Rochelle, I need to have a personal conversation with AT2. So much I want to talk about you, but I won't disrespect you on your channel in front of all your followers. Beasts don't make you relevant. Grow up. What's going on with Rochelle? What's going on with Rochelle? Like, why she got a beef with me? I don't know. But I do want to say this.
Mhm.
When it comes to the way that it appeared, do you feel, because again, they say like, what about the victims? Like the victim, like it almost did look like a party and it did look like a celebration. And I know you're saying that it wasn't that, it was just like a spur of the moment kind of thing. But do you feel bad for the victims at all? Like almost like it was misconstrued as you guys were basically celebrating and making fun of them.
No, well, for one, I wasn't part of that little, I was right there, but I'm so short I couldn't catch the footage. If you watch my video, I have a video, you can hear it because they're standing kind of right behind me and people started jumping up in the plants and stands. Again, I don't think nobody was thinking about the victims. It was just, again, these people have been, most of them, a lot of the people that were in that circle, they have been together for the last 7 or 8 weeks, however long this has been going on. And so it was a moment of, this is ending, this is over. Nobody, in my opinion, was thinking about necessarily Diddy or the victims. Now, Mama Combs, actually, I got to hug Mama Combs in the cafeteria. And I'm going to
Mm.
say this, in terms of the victims, I really don't feel one way or the other about the victims because, we're from the Bay Area. And when I talk about trafficking, AT2, right before I left to come back here, there was an alert on one of our local channels saying there was a 15-year-old that had been abducted from her family, being trafficked. She can't go home. She's
Yeah.
going to be working for a PIMP. That's trafficking to me. Cassie left the comforts of her Beverly Hills home, jumped in that Ferrari with an LV bag, and drove to some of them freak offs. I don't necessarily see it the way some people do because I'm from a place where
Mm.
girls get trafficked. They don't get to go home. They out there. They may be taken to another state and never see their families. They're underage. They don't get to make decisions about, I'm going to go back, I'm not, and they ain't getting no damn LV bags. So, like it
Mm.
or not, that's how I see it. Now, I'm not saying uh Cassie, the Jane Doe, I'm kind of iffy about her. Cassie, yeah, he did brutalize her and stuff like that. But I don't see her as necessarily a total victim. I think two things can be true. We know that she got immunity because she was down with the get down. So, that's how I feel about that. But yeah, that celebration was more about people getting together, just having a good time. Like, this is over. It's hot as hell out here. It's over. I'm not going to see you again. So much. Nobody was trying to mock the victims. They
Mhm.
weren't thinking about the victims.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you clarifying that and giving your perspective on it, because now that I think about it, because I was trying to explain how the jurors were feeling, and they probably felt like you felt like, okay, well, this girl, she basically had a choice, and so
Yeah.
that's probably why they didn't convict him or charge him on the trafficking charges.
AT, let me tell you, I was there when Cassie gave her, when she was on the witness stand. And I know you guys read the tweets and you hear what people are reporting. Cassie said, when they asked her, "Do you still love Diddy?" No, "Are you still in love with him?" And mind you, her husband was in the back of the court. So we could look back and see him sitting back there. When they asked her, "Do you still love Diddy?" She said, "No." She said she paused. I think she wiped her eyes like she was going to cry. It's like she caught herself. She said, "I still have love for the times." You got love for what times? This man
Mhm.
allegedly did all these. What do you mean? Now, if you go back and look at Inner City Press's tweets, you'll see. I think I'm paraphrasing. I probably don't have the exact verbatim. Go back and look what she said. But if you're listening and you hear it and you see her, it's almost like I'm a woman. It's like, oh God, my husband's in here. I mean, what are you saying? Cassie did not want to testify against Diddy. The feds came to her 2 weeks after she filed that suit. Trust me,
Mhm.
the only reason she even went through with it is because she had to. These people who had to testify were told, "Did you get an attorney?" Because basically they're letting you know it's a veiled threat. If you don't talk, we got issue on you. You could be sitting beside him. What the hell is she gonna do? So I see it.
Right.
I see it differently. I didn't get it from the tweets. I heard it from the horse's mouth. I saw her. I saw her tearing up. The fact that she named her daughter Frankie. Frank Black was Diddy's alias at the freak off hotels. Why would you name your daughter any version of Frank? That's
You
bizarre.
I was surprised that they didn't have Alex Fine testify, because, and maybe they didn't have him testify because it would have more or less proven that Cassie was a part of it. Because, like I said, I think one of the things that they took into consideration is that after Cassie was R worded, she went back to Diddy, and this is while she was with Alex, right?
Okay, let me say, and not
So,
to interrupt you, but let me say
uh,
this: that whole R worded thing, a lot of us are kind of not even sure about that because you were R worded because your husband or your boyfriend at the time found out you were still with Diddy. So what do? I didn't want to be with him. I was R worded. You ended up in a location with him. You have to make. A, you have to give an explanation. Why are you still seeing Diddy when you're my girlfriend now?
mm,
People, and I'm not saying that these are facts, but you got to think the jury as well as us, we're hearing her testify to these things. And the first question was, were you really R-worded, or did you not want to tell him that she was ucking him? Because a couple weeks later you went back and he called you and you put it on mute. "I'm busy with Diddy." You know what I'm saying? All of that looked bad to the jury, I'm sure.
oh. That's what I'm thinking too. And then also with Jane Doe, knowing that she still has her place paid for by Diddy. She was
Yes.
originally working with the defense, and then when they told her that she could go down, that's when she turned and went with the prosecution, and she became, a witness for them. So I think that also played a role too. And it seemed like with Jane Doe, she wanted to be the only girl, but she was really, just one of his girls and not the only one. And it seemed like there was so I think that played into the role too as well. Like, these are probably just bitter women. I think that's how the jury seen it.
Yeah, I mean, when we hear that she, was jealous of the other women, we didn't hear a lot about fear or anything. Um, we heard a lot about personal relationships, the jealousy with the other women. It was more relationship based kind of concerns, not a
Yeah.
lot of,
And,
"Oh, let
and
me
she
hear
wasn't
him."
physically beat until the summer of 2024.
Yeah, well, but that's after Cassie's complaint comes out, and then you know that he's got pending charges. So, did you craft this? And because she hit him first, and I mean, of course, he went beyond, retaliating against her. But did you craft this because now maybe you're gonna have a lawsuit too? You see, it just you can't you because we don't know. And another thing is that these ladies are memorializing things in email, which I always tell people, you be careful what you put in an email because 10 years later, we can't decipher what you were really thinking. When you said you wanted a freak off, were you lying then? I mean, how do we know what your intentions were? We don't.
Yeah. And thank you, Mims. Were you there for the psychologist part?
Hey, Mims. Oh, what? No, I wasn't.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you weren't there the whole time, but you were there for a lot of it. I know
Yes.
definitely in the beginning.
What
But
did
I
Mims
know
say?
that.
Can you read what Mims said? I didn't see what he said because I saw Mims
Oh,
too.
okay. I thought you were okay. I thought
And actually, I saw Mims yesterday, but I didn't get to. He was in the overflow room for a bit, and I didn't get to say, "Hey,
this
Mims, hey."
this is why it was important for the jury not to sleep with the expert psychologist testimony on patterns of abuse of victims. They stayed awake for the drama, but not the expert. And you know what I was saying the other day? I think that playing the freak off videos and really making this about sex was bad. Because again, I said the other day when I kind of seen the public sway was when people started saying, well, what is Diddy being charged for? Like a lot
Yeah,
of people were confused what he was being charged for. And if that was confusing for the public, just imagine the jurors. The jurors are not online all day. They're not looking at everything and really what's going on. Like they're just looking at it from face value, right? And yes, they are supposed to have all different perspectives and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this trial was 8 weeks, right? 8 weeks
which child?
trial.
Oh, try. Yes, yes, yes.
TRI. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So just imagine, okay, so in the 8 weeks, I'm supposed to retain all this information. I think it definitely should have been shortened. It should have been more structured, and they should have actually got to, okay, what are you trying to exactly charge him with? I think
Right.
there was a lot of focus, and maybe because, and again, this is coming from somebody who didn't go to the courthouse, but it seemed like a lot of the focus was about, okay, well, did you go here? Did you go there? Okay. And it was kind of, I don't know where the prosecution was trying to lead us to. Like, where
Yeah,
were they trying to lead us? Like, it didn't make any sense where they're trying to lead us to. Like, I got it because I seen like, okay, I see where they're trying to take it, but did it actually make sense for like where they were going with it? And like, could they sway a jury to think that this man did a RICO, sex trafficking, and because a lot of the stuff I felt like when the defense, and trust me, Diddy has an awesome defense team. Whatever you think about them, they are awesome. And
I
so
think it
they
was
were,
about 12. He had about 12 people, 12 attorneys.
yeah. So again, I think that was a lot for the jury to obtain. And then when the defense started questioning and asking questions, there was a lot when it came to the actual Jane Doe and Cassie, there was a lot of conflicting information. Even with some of the other witnesses, but I'll say for the most part, like Capricorn Clark, she was a strong witness. Like Capricorn, like I'm surprised, like not just with only Capricorn, like she wasn't able to sway some opinions because Capricorn was kidnapped. She was made to take a lie detector test because he thought he stole something. Also, I think something that they didn't make clear was all the payouts, how he was paying out people. Like Carrie Morgan, Cassie's best friend, he paid her when he hit her with the wire hanger. He tried to pay Bonna, but originally Bonna said no. So it was like a lot of different conflicting information.
It was very conflicting also because just got to think about the jurors. A lot of the things, like even when you say Capricorn Clark, yes, he did these things, but then you kind of negate it all. I don't care. We're human beings. When you come back and say, so many years later, oh, can we still work together? Well, how serious was it? Because again, this is the narrative of the government, the prosecutors. They want Diddy behind bars. Capricorn Clark, I mean, if she's coming back and she's okay to work with him, how bad was it? You
Mm.
those are
I
elements
think
that
this
I'm
is
sure.
I think this is
Mhm.
Mims. Mims, is this
Okay.
you?
Who else would it be?
Okay.
Hey,
There's
Mims.
some Rochelle that was like dragging me, I guess. I was like, is this Rochelle? Okay, go ahead though. Keep going, celebrity scandalous.
I just think that, the jurors, they're human. And so we kind of cipher things and understand things based on just our logic. And it's sort of like, okay, well, yeah, he did those things, but yeah, you did want to go back. So you weren't in fear for your, like, I think that's how people process things on a fundamental level. And you're
Mhm.
asking jurors to kind of look at jury instructions, and you don't know what their level of educate. There's just so many factors that go into it. Trust me, yeah. But go. I'm gonna let
Right.
Mims jump in. Go ahead, Mims.
Yeah, go ahead, Mims. What you got to say?
Speaking to the Armand part, he released a statement on his Instagram, like an official statement about the baby oil. I wasn't
Oh, he
there for
did?
that. Nobody would be pouring baby oil on me. Partly that wouldn't happen, but I can speak to Armand not being a Diddy supporter. I can unequivocally
Okay.
state he's not a Diddy supporter. Um, the problem was that other man is. I don't know, like there were people around. I didn't like really engage with everybody because some of these people
Mhm.
were just fucking like batshit crazy. But I didn't speak to other men, but he was a Diddy supporter, right? Celebrity
Uda,
Scandalous.
Uda, Uda on go. I think he was a Diddy supporter. Yes,
I saw
and
him
that's
every
what I
day,
said.
but we didn't like really engage. So
Yeah,
um, if I'm pretty sure our mom was lumped into that because of the fact that the other guy was, and a lot of them were. But I can tell you for a fact that Armand is not a Diddy supporter.
Mhm.
and AT2, give me credit because I did say that I thought Armand was pretty objective. I didn't know that he either way really with Armand, but I didn't think that he
Right.
was necessarily a supporter. So yeah.
Right. And I
Yeah, no,
did
I think
say
Armand did a good job of giving like Armand gave entertainment value that very few people can in
Yes.
recapping this.
right.
In addition to, I don't think that Armand's reporting was biased. So
Right. I think he
I
was
think he
objective.
I think he acknowledged that it was optically not the best. But I think, I can't speak for anybody else. I can just tell you the man ain't a Diddy supporter. But
Right. And I
some
didn't
of
think
those
that he
people
was
were.
I didn't think that he necessarily was a Diddy supporter, but I think because he's been featured on TV and everything that they were going to put him as the poster child of, oh, these are the Diddy supporters because of who he was with and around.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna
Um
say I did see Armand on Nancy Grace one night or maybe a couple times, but I feel like even with Armand being on some of these shows, he was objective. And if he didn't say what they wanted him to say, it's like everybody was a lot of those channels, I mean, their networks, they weren't gonna support Diddy for sure, because of
Mhm.
what it stands for. And I feel like even that Armand just told the truth, what he felt to be truthful. And I feel like if you that some of these channels only want you to say they want you to have a particular narrative. I,
and
that's the best way I
like
could say it. Hmm.
I think that I think they had an uphill battle. Like a lot of this stuff is cultural. If you have They had like one white woman on the trial, she was 74 with a mask on every day. So it was 8 men to 4 women. You're already dealing with a celebrity that most of them know. They weren't sequestered. Some of the charges were a reach, although they weren't all a reach. And even listening to this conversation, the media was very effective. That includes content creators as well as legacy media at turning this into simply a sexual trial because a lot of the most salacious topics of the trial were sexual, but they weren't all sexual. And if you can look at a CEO of a company who can literally beat the shit out of their employees, get sexual with their employees, I don't care what anybody says. If you go to somebody's house and tell them you're mad at them because you see that somebody they're dating is sleeping with somebody else and you have a gun and you make them leave that house, that's kidnapping. But what people don't see behind the scenes is TMZ is getting freak off with Diddy with no lube every day because they understand that that's where the money's at. There's a reason
Mm.
that Tinny is on TMZ today. They were very effective at turning this merely into something sexual. And if you think that the MFing jurors were not watching this shit every night and being excited that they were a part of this shit because they know that they can monetize off this, then you're wrong. It was absolutely a misstep to not sequester them. Do I think that the forced labor and some of the shit that they wanted to put on Diddy and have him in jail for life was I think that they overreached. I think that some of the charges were like you're facing life in prison when there's murderers who get out and you didn't murder anybody.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
but that doesn't mean that it was just a sexual thing. You were in the courtroom, you heard some of the shit that he did. He did act and move like a gangster. But if you have everybody in the media saying it's just about sex, and you look at these women that are not black on stand who, have lifestyles that most wish that they could, the average person doesn't really care because they have more money than them. And that's bullshit.
But
That's
you
why
can
you
bring
have
criminal charges for like workplace harassment and things. I feel like the charges could have been different, minus the RICO. I mean, you can get criminal charges with workplace harassment kind of thing. So I just didn't understand why they took that way,
that doesn't mean
made it federal.
that doesn't mean that they won't initially. I think maybe they saw that tape and got excited. Like, okay, we definitely got him now because nobody's gonna be able to forget that he beats women. But
Mm.
realistically, celebrity scandalous. Yeah, she was one of the people that I did communicate with while I was there. I don't F with everybody. I'm
Yeah,
not like everybody else. It is what it is. That trial brought out demons out of people.
it
Literally.
did.
At one point,
Mm.
some like people encircled me and I was just like, well, no, like I'm a 6 foot tall black man. This ain't gonna work. So y'all need to just back up. And they backed up. I'm not like, Tisa's more of an easier target because she's a woman. I don't know where her bodyguard was at that time, but whatever the case is,
No, her people were there yesterday. Are you
No, he
talking
was
about
there.
another time?
Oh, no, Mims, her bodyguard was there because remember they had a little barricade around her. They had put the
so
gates
he was
around her when
there.
she. Yeah, there he was standing. I didn't see.
Yeah,
She
it
usually
was
had
two of
two.
them.
Yeah, she has two, but it was one, and they had the barricade around her. And actually, the person who was yelling, he was at a distance. He wasn't gonna get close to her. I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
no, I
was
mean,
far back.
I think it was more like a heckler than an attack.
Yeah,
Maybe the attack
right.
was on like her personal appearance or something like that. But whatever the case may be, I heard you talking about like traditional forms of sex trafficking, right?
Yes.
So in the same vein, if you have a kid who was sex trafficked and never went to the police, are we to say that because the statute of limitation, well, it wouldn't run out for a kid, but let's just say an adult was sex trafficked and then fell in love with her pimp. Are we going to say that at no point, because she never went to the police, that this would need to be tried? Because I heard like, who was it? Funk Flex
Mm-hmm.
talk about the
Oh.
fact that you need to just call the police. It doesn't work. It's just not that simple. There are things that aren't just black and white. There are things that aren't just nuanced. But you're asking people who are normal, everyday people who, maybe they've only had sex a couple times in their life. Maybe one of the jurors only had sex if he paid for it because he was unattractive and broke. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different nuances to life and it's not just cut and dry. I think that it's very easy culturally for us to look at the Cassies of the world and say she's beautiful. She was already making 400,000. She chose to look at these text messages, but they would have had to have listened to the psychiatrist explain exactly what some of these behaviors are, and they didn't.
But do you
And
think that the prosecution probably didn't explain that well
failed.
enough?
The prosecution
Okay.
failed. The prosecution failed in the same way that Democrats failed. So
Yes.
I've been very adamant. You have to like fight fire with fire. If the Democrats win because they, send somebody out there that's new and flashy and is going to effectuate change, like they said that Obama was going to do, well, the pendulum swung with Trump, and he was even more flashy. You're not going to go back to a traditional Democrat and think that that's going to fly in 2025. You can see just how legacy media is suffering to content creators. Like you have to move and change with the times. It doesn't mean that
Right.
they're going to need a Democrat that is the equivalent of Trump, but you're going to need to appeal to a base that is different than what
Yeah.
legacy
And
media
fight
might
fire with
present.
fire.
So it's so many things. But to expect a group of 12 people, I think one was like a massage therapist, another worked at a deli, and now you have Diddy, somebody you never expected to see, somebody you might have even paid to see at a book signing or a CD signing back in 2004. There's no way that that woman with a French roll was going to vote to put that man in jail for life. So you would have needed to change the charges. 50 years
Yeah.
minimum for RICO, you would have needed to change the charges.
And I agree with that. And I'm going to say this, Mims, because I was a legal secretary, because I am from the Bay Area where we have trafficking alerts, and because I dated a sheriff from Oakland whose brother was a pimp, and I've sat with working girls for years because they were like friends. His brother was a PIMP. My perspective is going to be biased. So I'm not going to look at Cassie in the traditional sense that I see trafficking in those things. So I would have been removed. I would not have been a good juror for that. That's because of how I've grown up. That's because of my affiliations. So for me, I would not have been an objective juror, but I'm not going to lie about it. I'm
Well,
being honest.
let me challenge you here, right? So at some point you said you dated like a cop or something?
He was a sheriff. Uh-huh.
You dated a sheriff, right? And they
Uh-huh.
explained to you how, I mean, children being trafficked is a very easy concept to get, right? But
Wait,
maybe
who explained to me? He didn't explain anything to me. Who
so
are you
so
saying?
who explained trafficking to you? Because you mentioned cops, so I
We have
assume
a
that.
I don't know if AT2 is familiar, but we have a trafficking a task force, and so they come on and they give information, and there's just like little excerpts on the news where they talk about it. It's pretty big because it happens frequently where we're
Yes.
from.
What age? I mean, I'm not asking you how old you are. I'm saying around how long ago did you become aware of it?
Oh, I would say probably maybe a decade or so ago. IT2, could you chime in on that? I'm going to say
Well,
it's
hold on, no,
pretty
just
prevalent.
real
Oh,
quick. So
okay. Uh-huh.
about 10 years ago, so 2010s is when you became aware of really and informed on what trafficking was, right?
Yes.
So let me challenge you here.
Uh-huh.
Imagine somebody in 1995 had a court case with a woman who was a sex worker who was suing somebody for trafficking. Doesn't mean that the concept didn't exist. It just meant that for the general public, they wouldn't understand that this sex worker could be trafficked. They would just think that's just a hoe.
Yeah.
Why is a hoe trying to sue? When in actuality, it would be the work of a prosecution team to come in and say, let me explain to you how this quote unquote hoe got into the business. This hoe got into the business because at 16, she thought she was dating somebody. And one day that man drugged her up and moved her to another state and had 8 to 10 people sleeping with her per day till she got accustomed to thinking that that was her life. Like, so the prosecution was up against something very hard because you're trying to explain the concept of trafficking to people
Right.
who think that they have knowledge of everything that trafficking entails.
But I look at
And
the
it was like
prosecution.
6 white women who got it 6 months ago when technically it was like a black man who was leading the charge initially. A black man with an excellent reputation and an extremely high rate of accuracy. They failed on many fronts, having 6 white women, but also having TMZ point out that it was a 6 pack of white women trying to take a black man down. They were up against a lot as well, but I don't think that they were the best ones to try this case.
And so, and let me just say this. So then if they are so sensitive to women that were trafficked, why would you have to give somebody immunity and have them almost like you could say that you're going to get criminal charges if you don't participate? If this person was a victim, Why weren't they just a victim?
Part of their immunity was perjury on the stand. It wasn't just like you're going to get criminal charges for, you're not going to, like, you're going to get wrapped in RICO. I think a lot of the immunity was so that you don't perjure yourself. We're not going to charge you for anything, but the expectation is that you don't perjure yourself on the stand, like I think Brendan Paul, the drug mule, did.
I
Yeah,
think also one
It
thing
was
on
an
that
uphill
too is
battle,
that
Celebrity
traffic,
Scandalous. You were in the
yeah, it was.
courtroom, you know.
It was.
yeah,
I feel like there were some listen, I've never done criminal law, so I don't know a lot about this aspect. I mean, I'm just learning about it, so my stuff has been more corporate and all other stuff. But I think the prosecution team they dropped the ball, and just based on the average the layperson's knowledge of trafficking, RICO, it would be a lot for somebody to consume, digest, and make valid decisions, because reasonable doubt, there's always going to be reasonable doubt unless you see the person with the smoking gun. So I just looked at it like they just it was too much,
and I
too
think
much, too long.
trafficking also doesn't look like one way as we
Yeah.
think about it. I think when it is a situation where it is like a younger girl who gets picked up by a pimp or has an older boyfriend, and then it turns into a pimp and a hoe situation, that's kind of like what we see it blanket as sex trafficking. But we don't
Yes.
think about other ways that, yeah, it could be sex trafficking, especially and I think one of the things that the prosecutor should have really nailed is that Cassie was an Diddy's employee. She was a part of his
Hmm.
record label, and she was doing X, Y, and Z. And it's all like, that's not what she's supposed to be doing. She's supposed to be making music, but you have
Right.
her doing the, like, I think that should have better been laid out too as well.
That now, to me, that would have been a better angle, because again, a lot of people don't realize in the workplace when you have particular laws, well, in California, you can get criminal charges based on your conduct with your employees. That might have been more digestible for the average juror. I'm just saying. But when you start bringing RICO, and you have to think about historically, what has a RICO meant to most people? What has sex trafficking meant to most people? And then you expect them to come in and just throw away what they've learned for the last however long. It's not going to happen.
I think that we're too engrossed. I think we're too involved with celebrity culture. The man
Yeah.
literally chased down his employee, the Deontay guy, beat him up. He literally made Cassie's parents take out a mortgage against their home so that he wouldn't release her sex tapes. Like the man, like I don't know how much more people need to see. They weren't going to convict him because I think that we're engrossed with celebrities, but he did, like, you had your employees effectively like doing criminal acts, obtaining large sums of drugs, put in their name. Like there was an enterprise, but the defense did a better job saying it was just personal use. Oh, this is just about
Yeah.
sex.
And I think also,
Imagine if it was your CEO who beat the shit out of you. Would you still not think that that was part of an enterprise when you were at your job getting the shit beat out of you? Or
right.
you
You would sue the company, and you would sue that CEO individually. I've sued a company before, a Fortune 500 company. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. My perspective is going to be different.
you sue your Fortune 500 company, but what happens when you get like you realize that that person is part of a gang and now you're scared for your life? I think it's very easy to say what somebody might do because that's your situation, but maybe
Right.
your CEO wasn't also a gangster. Maybe your CEO wasn't rolling around with guns and people like D-Rock and Fahim. Do you know what
But
I
do
mean?
you
Like
think that
it,
was a
I
missed
get that as well. I understand that. Uh-huh.
Do you think that was a missed opportunity that we didn't hear from Fahim, KK, and yet they have still yet to be charged as well too? So it was kind of hard saying that this was a criminal organization. We didn't really get to hear from them, or they didn't get questioned at all. Like it was basically just left up for interpretation through the eyes of everyone else. I think having them on the stand, it would have been easier to for at least the prosecution to be like, so you did this, you did that, right? And then them to explain like, well, they were a part of the criminal organization. It was more or less they were just hearing these names, but they couldn't put eyes on these people.
Yeah, and I mean, we heard that they had a longer list of witnesses. I don't know why they didn't bring them up.
Okay, so were you there for Brendan Paul?
No.
Okay, so you have Brendan Paul, somebody who's there for the prosecution. However, I can tell you that when people were saying saying good things about Diddy, like the content creators, he started following, liking, and sharing. I think that he was in bed with Diddy the whole time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you have people like Jane. Jane's
I was just about
testimony,
to
she refused to say sex worker. The whole time I was in there, I was like, what the F is going on? Like,
Yeah.
how are you not saying sex worker? You kept saying entertainer. Yeah, you can have an entertainer, you can have a stripper, but if you send that stripper home, if he's not able to produce some nut so that you can rub on your boyfriend's nipple, then that's the
Right.
sex worker.
Right.
That's the sex worker through and through.
Yeah.
You got that man who, I don't know, he probably has an IQ of 20. The Punisher, the one that can't get it up, that
Yes.
dude, he got sent home a bunch of times because he couldn't even keep an erection because he wasn't interested in whatever Diddy was serving. Well, I think he also can't get an erection anyway, but that's not the point. The point is, this nigga is one of the dumbest people I've ever heard speak in my life.
He got
But
an
maintains
implant
it,
though. He fixed that problem. He got an implant now.
whatever the
He
case
did. He got an
is.
extender.
Somebody tell that hoe to shut up. He has no idea about the law, but he's still maintaining that you are not a sex worker. You were producing cum for Diddy. You are a sex worker. How is that? Like the prosecution waited till the last day to really drill down on that. So I don't know what they were up against, but one thing I will say about being a content creator, I'm a layperson. My background is in corporate America. I'm not an attorney. So there's a lot of things that attorneys can actually tell you that the layperson can't. A layperson is great to listen to as a commentator because that gives you a good indication of what the jury might think. But there are so many things that if you're not an actual lawyer, you will miss.
And that's true. Yesterday we had a situation, surprise witness is talking about it on her page. And so of course I gravitated to her because she's an attorney. And I was there for 10 years. So we got the paper that Cassie had said that she wanted Diddy, not to get out. And if you read the paragraph, BJ read it as well, and I read it, and that's what I used to do. I was a secretary. So I read it, and everybody was debating, oh, he can get out, and he can. It said pursuant to mandatory. When you have laws like when they cite statutes, it's not debatable. And so they were going back and forth, and I said, no, it's saying this is mandatory, because people were saying, well, no, he can still. So I said, BJ, please read it. Did you read it? She said, oh yeah, I read it. And I said, BJ, read it again. Pursuant to this, it's mandatory. And she read it. She's like, oh yeah, you're right. So people put their emotions into things. They don't even understand how to articulate or read. Those statements are very clear. Some things are guidelines, some things are mandatory, and even the judge does not have the latitude to override it, or it has to be very compelling, and there would have to be motions in place. But people are just no. And then there was an argument that, well, Cassie's attorney sent that. Cassie is a part of this suit. Her attorney has the judge's ear. He's just directing him to the law. He's not arguing anything. He's not attorney of record. He's just saying, no, this is what the law says. Yes, he can do that. So, I mean, it got heated for us, even in the cafeteria. And it's like, yeah, as lay people they read things with their emotions. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there's certain things that it's not even really up to the judge. The judge is going to have his say in the sentencings, and there will still be guidelines. He can't just pull it out of his ASS. He still has to adhere to certain things as well. So, I mean, that's just a little bit, on what Mims was saying, lay versus people who have some knowledge, and attorneys even more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he had an amazing team. He had a definite he had a dream team of people, and those people were more engaging to the jury. I do think that most of us had never really sat in on a court case or experienced that or anything to that level. So we're speaking as lay people, but realistically, how the prosecution did it might actually be the typical rules of engagement for that type of court case. We don't know. And it's
Now,
okay to
BJ,
say we don't know. Hmm.
Now, BJ, the surprise witness, she made a great point when we were talking about this yesterday. Now, I
Hmm.
didn't know this. She was talking about the experience, like Agnifilo. I always say his name wrong, or Agnifilo, whatever, versus
Buffalo, yeah.
Comey. That she's only 5 years into being an attorney, and that she felt that the case was made, they needed somebody more seasoned on the prosecuting team to do something like this. Now, I don't know, this is
Mhm.
coming from the perspective of an attorney, because BJ said like she's only been out of law school for 5 years. And I do know, when you look at, if you look at law firms, your managing partners 10, 15, 20 years, there is a tier of attorneys and how they do things. I don't know how it works in federal, but she did make that point. She's going up against what, 20 years of experience. Look at this team. They got twice the power of attorneys against them, because for the feds, for him going up against the feds, this was considered a loss for them, for sure.
Oh, they lost
This,
a lot of money.
yeah,
Yeah.
They lost a lot of money on this.
yeah.
But it's, I mean, I don't know how much I can say. Speaking behind the scenes with some of the victims, um, after that first verdict, it was really bad because it was
Mm,
like this nigga got off again.
yeah.
And you can be like, when I look at some of the Diddy supporters, they don't give a F about any of the other shit that he did. None of it. They don't care about none of it. They don't care about the fact that he abused women. They don't care about the fact that he bribed people. Like, people want to say so bad that uh, he was not guilty of the RICO, right? But one of those predicate acts was the bribery. In
Hmm.
order for,
Mhm.
you hid evidence from a violent act in order not to get prosecuted. Like, how do you miss that? You bribe somebody $100,000 to make sure that you had the evidence of your violent act. Like, that is the problem. Was they kept saying against like like a police officer, and at the time the man wasn't a police officer, so that's where it gets a little murky.
Mm.
But
The security guard for the video.
right. That's
Yeah.
where it gets a little bit murky because he technically wasn't a police officer at the time. So some of these things may just be the way that the law is written. Had they used New York law instead of applying California law, then it would have been a shoo-in. But because they brought up California law, that opened it up for the defense team to be able to say, well, in California law, you needed to be like, those are small, minute things that the average person isn't going to tell you because they're really concerned about, baby, I don't know how much I can say on your channel, AT2.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
I'll just say baby batter. They're more concerned about most of the salacious stuff, but there were 2 months of very minute details involved in this case. Do I think the prosecution could have done better? Absolutely. But do I think they were up against something that was damn near unsurmountable? Yes. Had they, had that trial been right around the time that tape was released, then this would have been a shoe-in. And that's
Ooh,
horrible to
that's
say.
true.
That's
Yeah.
horrible to say. But we were so desensitized to the tape by the time that the trial came around that, nobody really technically really cared, and they were able to say it was just domestic violence. But if you need to look at an underhanded snake ass attorney, look at Mark. Because Mark, and I think it was Sean Holly, initially said that he was never abusive. And
Huh?
then
Mm.
they
No,
Wait,
changed
they
it
said he was
to
never
after.
he
abusive?
was.
Yes, they said it was all a money grab. This man had never been abusive, and then the tape came out, and then he had to release that PR thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, in the beginning. Yeah.
So
Okay.
for all these people who are like, "Oh, no, it's never that," you don't know what the f this man did and to how many people. You don't know how many people were involved with this nigga and never actually made it home to call the police. How
But you
would you
guys know,
know?
what I thought was funny was when because this is one of the fundamentals of law, where because I always state this to everybody, even my managers at work, I always say everything you say can and will be used against you. It does not matter. You guys notice when he denied the bail, he came back and restated that the defense said that he was dangerous, that it was a case of DV, and for those reasons, he turned around and used their own words against him, and that was just funny to me because that's one of the fundamental things they tell you is like everything you say, whatever you put out there, whatever you memorialize, be prepared for it to blow back in your face. And that's exactly what he did. This is why you will not be getting out. You admit it. You admitted that this is a case of DV. It's violent and all of this. And I'm just probably, I'm not saying it verbatim, but he used it again. He blew it right back in their faces. That's why you're not getting out. Yeah.
I gotta go. But
Yeah,
let
me
me
too.
just say a couple things. In terms of Armon, I can say the dude is not a Diddy supporter. He did amazingly covering this trial. And just check out his own response to what happened on his Instagram.
Yeah, I was gonna read it after you guys got off. Yeah, I was gonna read a statement.
Okay, AT2, where was it posted on the Daily Mail? You said I haven't seen anything really.
On Instagram.
No, in terms of the backlash, I really haven't seen the backlash.
Oh, you haven't seen it on social media?
I've heard a little bit, but where is it? A Daily Mail said something?
I'll have to send. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, no free promo.
Okay.
But go ahead, Mims.
And lastly, I've been saying this for I don't know the last like 3-4 weeks. We need to start having conversations on consent, RAPE culture, and also one topic that people don't like to discuss is victims coming forward. But I've talked to like quite a few sexual assault survivors in the last week, and I'm standing firm on this. If there's one thing that we can get out of this is the one positive thing is that maybe more victims will come forward and actually do RAPE kits because they see how hard it can be to prove without that. You know what I mean? Like I gotta kind of have a positive spin because this was like super draining. This was ridiculous. This was a lot. But maybe more victims. We know that traditionally they don't all come. Most don't come forward, but maybe hopefully they'll at least go and get RAPE kits. And even if you don't feel comfortable putting your abuser's name on it, just get something. Just get a police report, at least
Yes.
showing that something happened to you
Mm-hmm.
at that time. Like that's the very least that we could get out of this. Because if
Yeah.
some things were like written down, or if things were memorialized through at least a police report, then there is some type of paper trail to follow.
Right.
Perfect. That's a perfect statement. You're absolutely right. Yes. Keep notes, even if you have a notebook, write down your notes. Even if you don't get that kit, write it down, because what happens is if it's ever entered into evidence, they can even tell how long ago you wrote, like they have forensics to tell that, oh yeah, she made these notes 10 years ago versus like she just ran out and got a notebook and wrote it yesterday. Everything you do to protect yourself so that if it ever ends up in court, you need to do it, even if it's just notes to yourself.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta run. All right, y'all have
Yeah,
a
I
good
do
one.
too. Thanks,
Right,
ma'am. See you later. And
thank
thank
you,
you, AT2
Celebrity
too.
Scandalous. Thank you
Okay.
guys for coming up. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, you guys. Let me go ahead and read Armand's statement before we get out of here. He said, and this was 34 minutes ago. He said, yesterday a clip of me outside the courthouse went viral and was taken out of context. What started as a lighthearted moment, part of a long-running joke with my audience, was misinterpreted as support for Sean Diddy Combs. That was never my intention. For the past 60 days, I've worked hard to cover this case with honesty and objectivity. That moment was about sharing a bit of levity with the community that's been on this journey with me, nothing more. Still, I fully understand how the timing and optics may have felt hurtful, especially to survivors of abuse. I sincerely apologize to anyone who was impacted or disappointed. This has been a reminder to move with greater care, and I remain committed to doing this work with integrity and heart. So that was his statement right there. So he did put out a statement. And again, originally in this video, I was going off based off what he said, you know, in this video yesterday, which his video is actually still up. But yeah, but he put out a statement and he's sorry that he offended anybody, and he did the right thing. He had to say something because yesterday it came off like, oh, nigga, what you mad about? you know how they do. But he put out a statement, and you know, we'll see what happens from here. You know, we'll see what happens. Thank you, 82, for this. Oh, did y'all enjoy the show? I don't know what was going on with Rochelle. Can somebody explain that to me? I was just all like, okay, I had never seen Rochelle before, but she said she was trying to help me, but it didn't seem like she was trying to help. Like, I don't know what the hell was going on with that Rochelle thing. Did somebody DM me about it? Let me see. Because I don't know why she was like, what was going on with that whole situation. I was all like, that was crazy, y'all. Yeah, I'm happy that he addressed it too. What's up, Babita? I wasn't paying attention to Rochelle. Okay, yeah, don't worry about it. Who cares about her? Yeah, it is what it is. He doubled down during his live stream last night. Everyone was decent, hard to take, but the Me Too movement isn't good, and we need something else that is more fair and relatable to regular. Well, I don't think necessarily the Me Too movement. I think it's more or less believe all victims. That statement is dangerous. Believe all victims. You know, that's a dangerous statement, at least on my end for me. For me, believe all victims. Now, you should hear all victims, but you shouldn't just believe all victims. Because if we believe all victims, should we believe Jaguar Wright, who's a known liar? No. You know, like, that's why I'm all like, that statement is a little dangerous, you know. But as far as the premise of what it was trying to accomplish, I still stand on it. You know what I mean? It seems some of them have attention issues, like conceited, cocky, rude, and acting entitled. Why do we have to think how they do or get deleted? What you say with a K? What is that in reference to? Is that in reference to the content creators, the Diddy victims, or Diddy? And thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. The content creator, okay. And hey, you're not wrong about that. It comes off that way. Yeah, you're right. Why y'all eating tea sub in the comment section? I've seen a few of y'all. I'm gonna buy me a Tisa Tell shirt. We can all agree to disagree. Yeah. And that's one thing that I like about my platform, that I do give y'all the freedom, sometimes too much freedom, but I give y'all the freedom to say whatever is on your mind. I try not to police y'all and stuff like that, you know, as long as it's not something crazy. There's a difference in being a victim and making bad choices that you regret later. Yes. Okay. Oh, wow. Free Diddy. Okay. We'll see what happens on October 3rd. He might be free then. Queen Studio said, I like her though. Oh wait, what was your first comment? Hold on, let me see. I think I missed your first comment. Oh damn, now I skipped past it. I'm sorry, I didn't see your first. But at least you like her though. Very jealous. Whoa. The judge will give him the max. Oh, so you think that he can? Well, I think he's gonna serve it. Am I saying the word right? Concurrently, like he's gonna serve it together. So he might do the 10 years. You think? I think we're looking at the minimum. Maybe he'll do like 4 years tops. May get off on good behavior. Ooh, are you saying Tisa is the queen of YouTube? Damn. Okay, Sean. Okay, you riding with Tisa. Okay. I ain't mad at you. I said I like Tisa. She does say right a lot. I say my thing that I say a lot is you know, and so. I said first offense is 2 to 7 per charge. Yeah, I definitely see him doing probably 4 years. He said definitely overspoke, but she was hold on. But she was not for the diddler at all, and me either. I support her. She was very convincing, but out of term. It should have happened that way, but I think a lot of people, like I said earlier, I think some people did the in the middle, and I think there's some people who really were like, okay, this is what I believe. They were strong in their conviction, which I feel like you should be. If you feel like this man is innocent or this man is guilty, I feel like you should pick one. And especially if you're in the courthouse every day, like you should be able to tell us what's going on and be fair with it, right? Time served. That could be too as well. 822 never should say he's sorry for anything. Yeah, what do I have to apologize for? What's up, Addicted? Yes, I agree. She was very loud and hyper. I guess that's her expressive style. To each his own. She has her fans. She can't be a real journalist if she can't be neutral. I agree with you on that. I definitely agree. Yeah, you definitely have to be neutral. T says definitely the black sector queen. Damn, y'all giving her titles. What would y'all give me? Would y'all give me like the king, or like would I be like the court gesture? Don't answer that. Don't answer, because I already know y'all gonna how y'all gonna answer. But yeah, okay. So y'all consider Tisa the queen, okay? You block me. You don't give me freedom. No, you wouldn't be able to send a super chat if I block. I don't block. Yeah, I didn't block you. No. And thank you for the 199, but no, I didn't block you though. You the king, AG2. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I already got a title. I'm the Godfather. The Godfather of YouTube. Yeah. I'm the Godfather. I don't need any kind of king or queen or anything like that. I'm the Godfather. This is known. You ain't blocked, sir. Okay, yeah. No, you didn't get blocked. This Tisa praise is concerning. Damn, y'all crack me up. Like I said, it is what it is. That girl gonna have some kind of TV promotion deal, and yeah, and we gonna be here on YouTube. So it is what it is. Again, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the show right here. I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for being here, and thank you for all the love and support. I don't think I got any cash ups or anything like that, did I? Carbon Health. What the hell is Carbon Health? Okay, but if I do later, you know I'll thank you and all that good stuff. But I love y'all. Thank y'all for being here. We out. Deuces, everybody. And love one another. Stop being so mean. Love one